Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're certainly welcome back to the channel. Keith here from Commander Hoops. If this is your first time viewing the channel, please do like and subscribe. I'm coming out of my comfort zone for this video today to talk about previous players that we bought for, small fees and transferred them into big fees to Premier League clubs, to Bundesliga clubs. I'm going to kick it off today because, as we all are aware, this man beside me, Jota, he's on the verge of joining Saudi Arabian champions Al Hayat. So we're going to talk about players before him, the transfer fees that we made off these players, and just wonder, could we sell them for more? Could we sell them for less? Were we happy with the valuation we got for these players? You think Celtic just took these fees to get these players out? Or was it just a panic sale? We should talk about in bigger depth. So first of all, the closest transfer fee to Jota's at this moment in time is Kieran Tierney. We saw Kieran Tierney back in 2019 to Arsenal for 25 million. It took them 3 bids to get Tierney to London, and look at incredible time at Celtic from the age of 7 up to the age of 21. Got into the Celtic senior team, helped us win a treble. He was an invincible. He captained Celtic a couple of times, captained Celtic against Camargue and scored an absolute cracker of goal from 35 yards out. He was a real player, and maybe one day he'll come back to the club. Some really iconic times in this jersey as well. So Tierney was the closest player to the Jota fee. The second highest player we saw was Moussa Dembele back in 2018 to Lyon. Now, what happened with Dembele was he was linked with loads of clubs at the time: Manchester United, Chelsea, Lyon. A couple of clubs, even clubs in La Liga, were looking at Moussa Dembele, and we sold him for just under 20 million to Lyon. Dembele himself, we all know what Moussa Dembele done for Celtic, especially in this jersey. The hat-trick against them, some cracking European nights against Man City, the 2 goals against City, and just overall he was a prolific finisher at the club. And I loved Dembele. I thought he was an absolute cracking player. It's a pity didn't we get to keep him for longer, but obviously losing out to AEK Athens in the Champions League, we kind of knew that his next step was to leave Celtic and move on. And he had a good stint at Lyon. It just didn't work out well last season. That's why he's a free agent now. So next player I want to talk about closest was Odsonne Edouard. Edouard was obviously, he broke a transfer record at the time. Back in 2018, we signed Edouard for a fee around 9 million from PSG after being on a season-long loan to us, and some really good times with Edouard. Some people were putting the comparison at the time that he closest ability, the most exciting player that we've had since Henrik Larsson. At one point, Chris Sutton quoted. Edouard was good. He did have his times. He's obviously his winners at Ibrox, his goals against Rangers, his goals in Europe. The only thing about Edouard, what really annoyed me, was the last season before Neil Lennon left, his attitude just went down. You just clearly seen that he wasn't interested. His head was getting too big, and Ange gave him a couple of games, and then he was off to Crystal Palace for 14 million, scoring his debut for them. So Edouard was the next one. Christopher Royer, we sold him for just around 13 million to Brentford, to Thomas Frank team. Obviously, we made a couple of incentive fees off him as well, with them staying in the Premier League and stuff. Christopher Royer, I liked him. We obviously got him from Norway. He developed as a player. We sent him on Camargue on loan, and then he got stronger and stronger. Even though he wasn't an out-and-out centre-back, we played in that position. He was a defensive midfielder, and the strides he could make was unbelievable. The only thing about Christopher Royer was he could not score a goal with his head for his life. Even though he was so tall, over 6 foot, could not score for his head. And he moved on, and I wish him the best. He's doing quite well down with Brentford. They were in the top 10 in the Premier League this season, so good stuff. Next one is Jeremy Frimpong, a guy that we got from Manchester City for little to none. 350 grand we got this guy for back in 2019, and then we end up selling him for just under 12 million to Bayer Leverkusen. This guy is on a couple of teams' radar at the moment: Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. He's at Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso, and reportedly they're saying that he's valued at 32 million. So if he goes to another club, Celtic will average profit profit around 6 million from the sale as well. So Jeremy Frimpong, he's only 22 years of age and he's progressing his career quite well. He's stormed Bundesliga as well. He's been called up for the Dutch national squad a couple of times. He was in the World Cup squad as well. So it's good for Jeremy Frimpong. Next one was Fraser Foster. Fraser Foster just went to Southampton for just under £12 million back in 2013. It's crazy to think, like, Fraser Foster, what a keeper. We got him from Newcastle on loan and then we signed him on a permanent. He held the record for the most clean sheets. At one point it took Johnny Hayes to score against to break the record. But Fraser was a phenomenal keeper in his 3 stints at Celtic. You know, he obviously came back up on loan back in 2019 and some incredible nights against Lazio. Even the League Cup final against Rangers, he won that final for us. The night against Barcelona at Celtic Park, that magic night. So Fraser was Southampton went in and raided a couple of players. They got Stuart Armstrong, Victor Wanyama. He went for 14 million to them. Then obviously he progressed, went to Spurs and then Montreal Impact. But Wanyama was a good solid player. We got him for little to nothing, around £1 million. And the Kenyan, he dominated. He was so crucial in that midfield with the likes of Kayal, Ledley, Brown. That header against Barcelona that night as well. He was a solid player and he could score from outside the box as well. So that was another 14 million we sold as well. Next one was Virgil van Dijk. Van Dijk was a baller. We got him for 2013 from Groningen in the Eredivisie, and we sold him for just under £12 million to Southampton. Then he made us just under £12 million when he went to Liverpool a couple of years later. And look, one of the best centre backs in the world, proving his CV, winning Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues with Liverpool, getting the Champions League finals. You know, so Van Dijk was excited when he came to Celtic. That goal against St. Johnstone when he took it up the pitch as well. Some phenomenal moments. I wish he did stay longer, but it wasn't meant to be. The next one was Aidan McGeady. Aidan McGeady left Celtic back in 2010 to Spartak Moscow for a fee of 9.5 million. We weren't too panicked about it, to be honest, because we had a young James Forrest scored a couple of goals before that, and Forrest came on, look what he is now, a one-man club. So McGeady went to Spartak Moscow, had spell at Preston, Everton didn't really work out for him, went to Sunderland, went to Hibs, and then there's talks he's going to retire from football now because he has so much injury. So McGeady, good times at Celtic. Obviously he came through the youth system. Big friend of Tommy Burns. Tommy Burns helped him as a player, as a coach, develop him. And he was really good under the Gordon Strachan days as well. I know Martin O'Neill gave him his debut against Hearts at Tynecastle back in 2003. But it's crazy to think life moves so quick. These players come and go. And then the next transfer was Josip Janovic. He went to Union Berlin just January gone for 7.5 million. We got him from Lega Warsaw for just under 3.5 million. And yeah, we made a profit. We doubled our profit and stuff. But Jovanovic was a good player. Really good at getting forward. Really good with regards to free kicks, penalties, getting stuck in. The only thing about Jovanovic was his final product of crossing, and you know what, some good moments. He helped us obviously in that right flank when Ange's first season, and we went on to win title, a League Cup. Obviously he was a part of our success halfway through this season, and then he went to the Bundesliga and he's going to be playing the Champions League. So Celtic could make another incentive off that as well. So that's really it. Let me know of all these players, the likes of Wanyama, Dembele, Edouard, Tierney, Armstrong, Van Dijk, McGeady. Who was the player that you think we should have made more money off? Just be honest. Just put a price tag and say we should have made more money off this player. I think Celtic should have held off. So let me know. Comment below.